everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Today, welcome to those on Facebook, for those of us who are listening on Facebook. So today, I received an email that was extremely disturbing. It highlighted how the Vermilion County Prosecutor's Office is attempting to, in my opinion, look to retaliate against me for reporting about some local politicians. So for those of us who are watching on YouTube, you aren't aware of the report that I just released. Give you a little background. I'm here in Clinton. I am doing some work investigating the city government, and I released a report to a local Facebook group that's closed off. But there's about 7.8 thousand people. Now, the city of Clinton has about 4.5 or 4.7, 4.8, something like that, somewhere in that area. Anyways, the group has more people than the town. Okay, so I released it in this group, and it got about 3,000 views, okay? I want to show you all that video, which I've got up and got ready to show you. We're going to show you that. And then directly after that, I'm going to show you the email that I got today from the prosecutor or from the court or the clerk or whomever. They accidentally sent it over to me. I wasn't supposed to see it. They told me they couldn't tell me anything about it when I called them. They said they weren't allowed to. Anyways, let's get into the report that I did yesterday. By the way, anybody who's watching this on the YouTube, this is the first time anybody on YouTube has seen this video. So here we go.
If you sell this property to some developer or something, do you automatically record that to all of a sudden that developer is responsible from then on?
Yes.
Okay.
We give them a deed. They get a deed and it's recorded here.
So there's no building not going on the city property before it's turned over to the developer?
No.
That is the attorney for the city of Clinton in Indiana. And everything you just heard him say was an absolute lie. He is currently being questioned by Vermilion County Commissioner Tim Yoakum.
My question is, has the city had anyone build units on their property before the owner?
Not that I know of. Not that I know of, except that one instance where the property got transferred back.
The commissioner is asking about these properties. The houses on them were built by contractor Timothy Cottrell, while the city still owned the properties. This allowed the contractor to avoid the cost of such inconveniences as buying the land and paying property taxes, which is probably why Scott Craig is feigning ignorance about them. But he then claims to be knowledgeable about the very area that all this happened on.
The reason partly the reason the city had so many properties is because that area down around Feather Creek in Clinton, there's a lot of parcels down there, and most people weren't paying their taxes on them because they were worthless parcels of land. So we had a lot concentrated there in that North 6th Street, North 7th Street, North Street area. Most of those now have either been gone through the tax sale. There's a couple people who still live down there and they do pay their taxes.
So he is aware of the properties, but at the same time, unaware of them. Now, I'm sure you all are thinking, why does this matter? If government officials are speaking, most often they are lying. As true as this lie affects real people and also shows to an extent the lack of accountability for government officials and their close friends. Let me give you some background. In the early 2000s, a man named Kevin Kiger bought almost a whole 2 blocks of properties with the hope of building a home for himself and his offspring. When Kevin went to the city to get a building permit, he was told by Mayor Jack Guilfoyle and 2 of the mayor's predecessors that he would not be able to get a permit for that land because it is in a flood zone. After Kevin realized that he would not be legally allowed to erect a building on his own property, he judged that the property was worthless to him. As a result, Kevin stopped paying property taxes on the now worthless land. The city then took the property from Kevin for delinquent taxes and allowed Timothy Cottrell, a local contractor and friend of the mayor's, to start construction on the same property they just told Kevin he couldn't construct on. On top of that, they let the mayor's friend build while the city still owned the property, which allowed the mayor's friend to avoid property taxes and possibly liability. contrary to the lies attorney Scott Craig told at the county commissioners meeting.
If you sell this property to some developer or something, do you automatically record that to all of a sudden that developer is responsible from then on?
Yes. We give them a deed. They get a deed and it's recorded here.
So there's no building not going on the city property before it's turned over to the developer?
No.
Let's get into the evidence. We know the city attorney is lying about there being no building on city property because the property was transferred to Tim Cottrell in 2023, according to the county website. But Google satellite images from mid-2022 show that 12 properties were already constructed there. In addition to this evidence, the local news also ran a story about these very properties, in which Timothy Cottrell makes some pretty revealing statements about these properties. Let's watch.
New housing is coming to a spot in Clinton that sat empty for nearly a decade. The floodplain by North 6th Street now has 12 homes with many young families living in them.
News 10's Blake Dahlia tells us how this project came together and how it'll help the small town.
Patrice Rondrell, a local business owner, and Mayor Jack Guilfoyle have one thing in common. They both say they want to see more young people live and work in Clinton. Now that business owner has laid the groundwork to help make that dream a reality. If you know Tim Cottrell, you know he's either working on roofs or building homes. He says he loves the city of Clinton, but a conversation with his daughter about the city had him concerned.
Well, it started with a comment from my daughter, kind of a negative comment about the city, and that struck me because that's our hometown, and I didn't want her to feel like it's a bad area.
Mayor Jack Guilfoyle says a lot of younger people are leaving the city, but says Cottrell is helping bring some back. He's invested in building 12 houses on a floodplain near North 6th Street. He's building them to be flood proof.
I've been on a mission for several years to improve Clinton as much as I can. I try to take the worst houses in town and then either tear them down and build something new or rehab them if I can.
That dream of making his city better came with a pretty hefty price tag.
Yeah, I don't know who else would want to sink $1 million into flood zone in Clinton, and that's about what it ended up costing. And I don't have $1 million, but I found a way. I found a way to make it happen.
One thing is certain. Tim Cottrell has never met Kevin Kiger, the man who originally owned and wanted to build on this property.
Initially, I wasn't sure what kind of demand we would have for them. And as I built, I had to take my time building them. I didn't have the funding to do it all at once. But as I built each one of them, they were rented out before we even finished them. So it really worked out well.
So now, thanks to Cottrell's statement, we know that he was renting out city property and presumably keeping the money for himself, which explains why the county government was asking questions in the first place. What we are asking is how they are allowed to do this to people like Kevin Kiger and get away with it. According to Mayor Jack Guilfoyle, the state has already looked into this issue and found no wrongdoing.
Mayor, why have you sold properties to a private contractor for an average of $1 per property?
Ask them, he's asked me that question before, and so see, you both got the answer.
So did the state of Indiana.
Yeah, and they said there was nothing wrong.
No, they didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, it's on tape.
The city attorney met with Will.
The city attorney said he swept it under the rug.
The city has never provided any proof that any building permits were ever granted to Tim Cottrell to build in that flood zone. And the person in charge of the permits for the city, Kenneth Weininger, told me that Tim never got permits. What he got was permission. Sure would have been nice for Kevin Kiger, but the reality is that we shouldn't need permission to build on our own property. We definitely shouldn't be paying thugs like these for the right to own property. However, the moral of this story is rules don't apply to the rulers, only the ruled. We'll see you in the next one, guys. All right, everyone. Sorry, my mic was muted. So that is a story that I ran yesterday in a Facebook group, a local Facebook group. It has now over 3,000 views, and those 3,000 views are largely concentrated right in this one area. So as much as it would be nice to release it on my main channel, and I am going to release it on the main channel, as you can tell, maybe some of you are new to this. We're on the second channel today. The main channel is most likely going to get that. But I thought the most effective way to get this story out there initially is going to be to release it to the people who are local, right? Get that out there to the people who are most involved in this local government. And the response of the local government, well, I'll show it to you. So we have here an email that I received, an Odyssey e-notices email. Now, this is for anybody who hasn't been involved with the courts in Indiana. This is the notice system that they use to, tell people that, either your court date is this day at this time, make sure you show up, or maybe your court date's been continued, go check my case, stuff like that. And anyways, they sent me this Odyssey e-notice. I'm going to get to where you guys can see just the screen. There we are. And at first I'm thinking to myself that this is for something else because, well, I didn't actually inform anybody about this. I've got a protective order against me, or a protective order that is pending against me. We've got a hearing for it scheduled for tomorrow. We don't know if that's going forward yet or not. We're going to have to check up on that. But anyways, the protective order hearing is against, or it's for a protective order for a lady named Patricia Karanovich. Now, she works at the city hall. She is the mayor's, we don't know what she is. She works in the mayor's office. She's employed by the water office. And anyways, she didn't like me going in there and doing my investigation and asking questions. So she's now trying to get a protective order, which is, we're not going to comment on that. But anyways, I received this in the mail, and I thought that this was about that. But then I looked at the case number, and if you look at this case number, 83C01-2310-F6. Now, that F6 means that this is a felony 6 case number, which means that somebody in the prosecutor's office has sent a prepared document where they're trying to charge me with a level 6 felony for something. It doesn't exactly specify what for, but they are trying to charge me with a level 6 felony for something. Now, I couldn't tell you what it's for, right? But it seems very suspicious now if we look at this document, which we'll show you guys the document. I'm going to take it off of here because I don't think that this is my public email address, but we'll get it up for you. All right. All right. Now we can show you guys this screen. Boom. All right. So this is the document that was contained inside of the e-notice from Odyssey, from the Odyssey system. This is the state of Indiana, county of Vermilion. This is state of Indiana versus Craig Robert Henry. That's me. They are trying to bring the power of the state against me because I have exposed something that they've done. And so they can't allow that. You realize if we allow one of them to do this kind of stuff, we might have to let all of them do it. And then they'd figure out that we're all criminals, right? So anyways, this is an order of disqualification. So this is confusing, and I don't know why this is all happening. I think it might be because of protective order in this same court, although I'm not sure. It says, comes now the Honorable Daniel R. Young, the regular and presiding judge of the Vermilion Circuit Court, and recuses himself pursuant to Trial Rule 2.11A1. A judge shall disqualify himself or herself in any proceeding in which the judge shall impartially or in which the judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, including but not limited to a personal bias or prejudice concerning a party or party's lawyer, or personal knowledge of facts that are in dispute in the proceeding. It is therefore ordered and adjudged and decreed that Judge Daniel R. Young is hereby disqualified from this case for the reasons stated above, and now appoints the Honorable Hunter Reese of the Warrant Circuit Court shall now be appointed special judge in this matter. And this was signed yesterday, okay? Now, and it was signed, it says here, at 14:49. Now that's military time. That's going to be 12:49 p.m. Okay. Now I released this this report. I don't know if it's even going to show us the time that we released it on this. It was 20 hours ago. Okay. So basically, I released this report, and then they come around and they file these charges on me. All right. So that's yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. And of course, the 20 hours, I mean, that's like a rounding thing. If you don't pass 21, it doesn't show up. But I promise you, I filed this, and then she or whoever in the prosecutor's office walks right over to the court and files this. And I guess the judge recused himself immediately, maybe, I don't know, because he's got another hearing in my case tomorrow, or for me tomorrow. And that's why I'm assuming that this is most likely the prosecutor trying to do this about me exercising my constitutional rights in public, right? So, or it's 2:40. Sorry, yeah, 12:40. It's 2:49. Cindy Moore, thank you very much for that. Gosh, I would say I just misstated, but I'm really just an ignoramus. I've never read military time. So, Cindy Moore is correct. And I don't know what this is all about. I don't know if there's an actual warrant. I don't know if the judge is going to smack it down and not find any probable cause in the case. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'll tell you guys a story. I wake up this morning and I get the email in my email. I check it on my phone, and I immediately decided to call the clerk because I figured if this is about my protective order hearing tomorrow, because the hearing's tomorrow, I just got notified about it this morning. If the hearing's tomorrow and they're making a change, I want to know about it because I've got some witnesses coming, and I don't want them to drive down or come down or anything if, the hearing is going to be canceled. So I give them a call and I say, hey, the protective order, and they say, yeah, wait until you hear a notice about the protective order. Now, I'm not going to go off of that because I think that I bamboozled him when I called him. So I called him back after I realized that there was an F6 number on it, and we'll show you guys again. We accidentally took it down. I don't know why I took it down, why I stopped sharing the screen with you all. But the notice that I got shows a F6 filing with my name on it. It has a case number with an F6 case number. That's a felony. That's the lowest felony in the state of Indiana. Okay. And when I saw that, I gave the clerk a call back. I said, ma'am, what's this all about? I got a call from you all saying that, or I called you guys and you told me that the case had been rescheduled. But why is it saying on this that this is an F6 case? Because a protective order has PO where the letter and the number F6 are. So called them back. They said they couldn't talk to me about it. I said, you guys sent me a notice with an F6 case number. And they said, this office sent you a notice? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, we weren't supposed to, and we aren't allowed to talk about that. They said, you can call the prosecutor, but they said they aren't going to talk about it either. So anyways, this is the notice that I've got, guys. So why don't you let me know in the comments below what you think about this? And then while you guys are doing that, and I'll answer you, I'll let you in on a little something. Since this is the second channel, we've only got 26 people in here. It looks like maybe we've got some Facebook viewers in. We will show you all the protective order filing that a city hall worker, that the mayor's supposed assistant, which we aren't even sure she's an assistant, because in the whatchamacallit, in the state server, in the state files, it shows her as a utility clerk, which a utility clerk would imply she's with the water office. So we don't know why she's in the mayor's office, but we'll show you all right now the protective order case that we got from these people. So just give me 1 second and I'll get it up for you all. We weren't going to do this because we had court. We do have court. We don't want to, we don't want to jeopardize anything. And I'm not going to talk about any defenses that I have, but I would like to show you all this, these documents. I'll get into this email right now. So while I'm doing this, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about the prosecution or whomever sending me or accidentally sending me this e-notice with an F6 case number, with a felony case number, right after I dropped a video detailing how the city attorney of Clinton is a liar, how the mayor is involved in some shady business, and how basically nobody with the state cares, anybody cares. They stole somebody's land. Nobody cares. And they told him he couldn't build on his own land. Nobody cares. And of course, after I dropped this video, their response to it wasn't, oh, we messed up, we'll make it right. It wasn't, we overlooked this, we'll look into it this time. It wasn't any of that. It was to file felony criminal charges against me with a court. That was their response. Does that sound like a government that's got nothing to hide to you? Why don't you let me know? But anyways, guys, we'll present the screen to you all. We have got it ready. And here we are. So we're going to show you this. This is Patricia Karanovich, who is the utility clerk with the city, but she works in the mayor's office, versus Craig Hendry, okay, who's me. It's me. Now, she went and filed this, it looks like, and the court ordered a hearing on October 12th, 2023 at 8:30 a.m., okay? The court hereby sets this matter for hearing. All right, so they set the matter for a hearing. Now, let's go over what Patricia said in the complaint, right? I mean, why does she want a protective order against me in the first place? That's what this is going to be answering. Okay, so it says here, 7, the respondent has committed the following acts of domestic or family violence, stalking, sex offense, or harassment, yada, yada, yada. This is what she's claiming that I did to her. She checks the following. She checks the box. The respondent placed me in fear of physical harm. The respondent committed stalking against me. The respondent committed repeated acts of harassment against me. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is the assistant of the very person I'm investigating. Now, this seems suspicious that they're trying to get me to stay away. They're saying, oh, he's harassing me. Yeah. And everybody who's getting looked into by the police claim that the police are harassing them too, right? That's what you guys say. But all right, so this is what we got here. Description of incident. This is her description, guys. I do not in any way agree with this. I do not in any way plan on confirming or denying this here today. I just plan on reading to you guys what she described happening, okay? Description of incident. Craig Hendry came to the mayor's office, knocking on the door. After I shut it to take a phone call, he kept calling me by name, peeking through the blinds, telling me, we need to talk. This is the description of the incident 1, where I placed her in fear, allegedly, of physical harm. I allegedly harassed her, and I allegedly stalked her. Maybe you all could tell me where the stalking, harassment, or placing her in fear of her life was in that incident. Date of incident number 2. Description of incident. This is, again, by Patricia Karanovich. Craig Hendry came straight to the mayor's office, knocked. I asked, can I help you? No answer. He kept knocking, saying, Patty, I know you're in there. Plus kept raising his voice. He then went on to video himself, plus say the mayor plus I must be in there having a, quote, thing, unquote. That's description of the incident 2, where she says that I did all these terrible things to her. Date of incident 3 is September 14th, all right? Place of incident is the City Hall. By the way, place of incident, and each one of these is City Hall. Right? City Hall. This is where she works. This is where I go if I need to make any inquiry about a public record, make any inquiry about a public servant, exercise my First Amendment right to redress my grievances with my government officials. This is where I go for all those things. This is where any of you would go if you lived in Clinton and you wanted to redress your grievances with your local government, you would go to 259 Vine Street in Clinton, Indiana. It is the City Hall. That's where you'd go. And that's where every single one of these incidents occurred. You look at City Hall, City Hall, City Hall. The third incident, her description. Craig Henry called at 2:25 p.m. to the mayor's office. I answered, plus he said, quote, "So, Patty, have you gotten a lot of calls today from concerned citizens?" She never unquotes it, so I understand that this is still me, she's claiming. I recognized his voice and number, 812-249-2702, and hung up. I don't know why I would state my own number. Gosh, now I just stated my own number. Don't call me. Do not call me, everybody. Jesus. But anyways, yeah, so that's the description of the third incident where I allegedly, she said, placed her in fear of physical harm. So she has asked that I be ordered to stay away from 259 Vine Street, Clinton, Indiana, which is the City Hall. Now, guys, this is all in response to me investigating the government here in Clinton. I don't know how else to say it, right? I've launched an investigation. They've pushed back incredibly. I don't know if everybody's aware. I mean, they might not be. I had an appearance at the city council meeting in August. Now, at that city council meeting, I had a little speech prepared, right? I prepared this speech just like I do in the Terre Haute meetings sometimes. I went there and I tried to give my speech. Now, I was interrupted. I let the person interrupt me, and then I reclaimed my time. After I reclaim my time, the mayor looks at the Democratic council members. He's a Democrat. He looks at his fellow council members, his party members, and he says, I need a motion to adjourn. It's on video. We got it on the main YouTube channel. The audio is cleared up enough to where you can hear it. And by the way, the main YouTube channel is Hendry. You can find a link to the main channel probably in the description of any other video on this channel. Now, what I was saying about in response to this, right? So they've just, basically I've launched the investigation at the city council meeting. I tried to let them know I was investigating them. I was going to try to let them know what I would be investigating so they could have all the relevant documents ready for me. I didn't even get through 30 seconds of my speech before the mayor shut the meeting down through his fellow council members, through his party members, and they walked out, okay? That's what they did. Now, the next council meeting, I made my speech, and they didn't shut me down. They let me make it, and nobody's still nobody's heard that speech, okay? Nobody at all, besides the people who were present in the city council meeting on that day, and we might have a few of them here watching in the chat because we've got some people on Facebook. Now, if they did hear that, then they know that it was a pretty, it was a pretty harsh speech. I let them know that I was investigating and that I expected full compliance. And then, I got the trespass order from the city. I know it's hard for you guys to see it, but I have it right here. This isn't exactly a legal trespass order, but it's from Mayor Jack Guilfoyle Jr., the same office that Patty works in, the gal who asked for me to be ordered by a court to stay away. And it's signed by the Board of Works members and Jack Guilfoyle, the mayor of Clinton. So this was the first piece of pushback. Then 3 days later, I received a piece of documentation from the city police saying that I had an order for a protection hearing. And now the second step was I released the video on Scott Craig, the city attorney. I released the video on Mayor Guilfoyle. I released a video on how Tim Cottrell built properties on city property with city permission, but he did it when they told another property owner that they couldn't do it. And the reason they told him he could do it is because he is in some way connected. He does support the Democratic Party pretty heavily. And that's how it works, right? The guy who owned the property formerly was a man named Kevin Kiger. He didn't have any connections. They told him he couldn't build on his own property, which is what my video earlier in the stream highlighted. And Then they give it immediately to this guy named Tim Cottrell. Kevin Kiger had to pay $45,000 for the properties. They give it to Tim Cottrell at $300 per property. So maybe it was like a $3,000 deal when it was all said and done. And, he builds these properties when they told Kevin Kiger, the original property owner, that he couldn't build down there. And he did it all without permits. So we're not blaming Tim Cottrell for doing it, but we are blaming the city government for holding people to double standards, right? You certainly, city government influenced a man's standard of living incredibly by repossessing the land from Kevin that they told him he couldn't build on. If he could have built on that land, who knows what he would have built there? He may have built beautiful buildings. He may have built a home for himself and a couple of rental properties to go along with it. And he may have done it much more efficiently, much more beautifully than Tim Cottrell did. We don't know that he would have. I mean, chances are he wouldn't have as well. And chances are, who knows what would have happened with it. But the point is that property rights matter. And that this city government is holding different property owners to different standards of property rights. And that's unacceptable. It is unacceptable. It should be illegal. I don't know if it is, but it should be illegal. And that's what we're saying. But after we dropped that video, their pushback then was to file felony criminal charges against me in the local court. That's how disgusting these people are. And so, everybody, if you do want to redress your grievances with them, you can find their phone numbers, Vermilion County Prosecutor's Office, on Google. I am not encouraging you to, but I am saying if you want to, it is your right to redress your grievances with your government officials. So anyways, everyone, thank you all for joining. Look forward to updates. If these charges are pressed, I am going to be asking for some support. I hate to do it. I always hate to do it, but we don't know if the charges are going to be accepted yet. We don't know if the probable cause affidavit's been accepted. We don't know if there is a probable cause affidavit. We don't know a whole lot. We just know that there is a criminal filing happening with my name on it after I've been reporting corruption in the local governments. And by the way, the prosecutor's office is next, because I know what you all are doing to Richard Jovanovich here in Clinton, Indiana, here in Vermilion County, Indiana. I'm getting involved. And what you all did in the dark in that case is going to come to the light as well. And everyone should look forward to that as well, guys. That case is incredibly horrific. What they did to this man, what they could have done to his family prior to doing it to him. And we're going to bring you all of that. We don't have the information required to bring you a detailed report on that right now, but we're working on it. We're fighting with the Vermilion County Sheriff's Department to get me the information that I need. They pushed back. They denied a public records request. We're going through all the necessary hoops to get those public records, because what they're doing out here is wrong. We're wanting to report it. We're wanting to save this community. We want to make sure that this community is not going to be under the tyrannical rule of the powers that be right now. So everybody, thank you for joining us. If you're here on Facebook, hit the like, hit the share button, share it to the rest of your friends and followers. And if you're on YouTube, hit the like, leave me a comment, tell me what you think. Drop the share button. It always helps. And we will see you all in the next one, guys. Take it easy. Don't ever talk to the police. Always record the police and send it to me on Gmail if you do. Take it easy, everybody.